The man, the legend, the visionary, Shinichiro Watanabe has been in the studio cooking. Recently, there was a reveal trailer for his new anime called Lazarus. Needless to say, it looks like it's about to be the business. Now, Watanabe has a pretty good track record with his other past projects, and there's little to zero doubt that this one is also going to be a smash. Alright, so boom. The general synopsis of Lazarus goes something like this. In the sort of distant future, there's this drug known as Hapuna, and what this drug has done is basically eliminate all of the sickness and pain from the world. Now, let's keep it a stack. We could use at least a little pinch of that in the real world. But hold up, there's a catch. See, this drug has actually low-key cursed everyone who took it. And within about 3 years' time, everyone's gonna die from it if the vaccine isn't found and distributed to the people in time. So as a result, a 5-man task force of what I'm assuming are a bunch of badass motherfuckers have been assembled from all over the world. And this group, or this task force, is known as Lazarus. So basically what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I'm definitely going to be watching this day one. So as of right now, there hasn't been an official announcement for a release date. My guess is probably sometime in 2024. And a question that's going to be in the back of my mind both before and during the show's runtime is whether or not it's connected to the other anime shows from Shinichiro Watanabe. Now, maybe you've heard about this at some point, that the Shinichiro Watanabe animes take place within the same universe, albeit at different points in time. And I think old boy has actually confirmed it himself in some interviews, mainly speaking of Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, Carol and Tuesday, and Space Dandy. Samurai Champloo being the one that takes place during the Tokugawa era, making it the earliest point in time for the Shinichiro verse, or the Watanabe verse, I guess. Then we have Cowboy Bebop, which takes place in the year 2071, where humans live on Mars and some still live on Earth. And, you know, other planets too that they were able to colonize. And then we have Carol and Tuesday, which I think also takes place in 2071. I'm not sure. But if it turns out that Carol and Tuesday and Cowboy Bebop take place at the exact same time, like, I'm just thinking, like, just imagine these two out there making music and going on tour while somewhere else in the galaxy, the Bebop crew are getting up to their usual shenanigans, which would be not catching bounties and ending up with almost no food because they had to use the reward money to repair some damages or some shit. And then we have Space Dandy, which I'm not exactly sure when that's supposed to take place, but I think it's safe to assume that it's at the furthest point in time away from the rest of the anime. According to certain sources, it takes place in like Space Century 0014. I'm gonna keep it a stack, man. I don't know what the hell that means, but I'm gonna assume it's so far into the future that they're using a different calendar at this point to keep track of time. So Space Dandy could take place 100 years into the future, 500 years into the future, or hell, maybe even thousands of years into the future for all we know. But then that would mean that the fridge from Cowboy Bebop that made a cameo appearance in episode 12 of Space Dandy must be made of some seriously high-grade material to still appear to be in that good of a condition. The fridge being from that one creepy-ass episode of Cowboy Bebop. And if you were a 90s kid, then you probably also saw that episode the first time during the Adult Swim Toonami block at like 2 a.m., probably half asleep. And I'm sure that creature, whatever the hell it was supposed to be, creeped your ass out too. I'm not gonna lie, that episode made me never want to leave food in the fridge long enough to go back from that day forward. I know food going spoiled in the fridge most likely can't give birth to a creature like that, but I ain't about to fuck around to see if it can. Now, Shinichiro did work on other animes that may not be as well known as these four. One being Terror in Resonance, which is about two terrorists named 9 and 12 wreaking havoc all over Tokyo and basically challenging law enforcement to try and stop them. Now, I'm not sure if that story also takes place in the same universe as the others. I mean, it could take place in the same universe just at an earlier point in time, or maybe it could just be a standalone joint that's just its own isolated narrative. As far as the people working on this anime, it's still unknown who the dub voice actors are going to be for now, but other staff includes cats like Chad Stahelski, who you may have heard about if you watched the Matrix trilogy, and more recently the John Wick franchise, which he happens to be the director of. Dude has done a lot of work in the film industry, especially when it comes to fight choreography. So all of those dope ass action sequences that we saw in the Matrix movies as well as the John Wick movies, this dude right here played a pretty big role in all of that. So that should let you know the fight scenes are about to be fire. Now, Shinichiro is also bringing back the legendary Yoko Kanno. And if you watch Cowboy Bebop, then you know that soundtrack is about to slap the shit out you. Watanabe is also bringing some jazz musicians, some electronic musicians, some DJs. So it seems like the soundtrack is going to be a mix of various different music genres, which of course I think is pretty dope. And of course, Studio Mappa is the one working on it. So we already know that at best, the animation is going to slap. And at the least, it's going to be good. But all in all, Lazarus is shaping up to be a pretty interesting story. And best believe I'll be waiting for it when it drops. But what are y'all thoughts? Let me know what y'all think and we can chop it up in the comment section. Peace.